Hey campers, what's up? It's Yana. Welcome to day 14 of Camp NaNoWriMo July 2020. And what is up with today, you guys? So my plan for today was I wasn't going to do any work for my job. I was gonna leave that for tomorrow. Instead, I was going to clean the house and do exercise and then do my usual vlogging and writing as I normally do. So instead of that happening, I woke up and I randomly for no reason at all, as soon as I woke up, started working on my job stuff. And I've been doing this for most of the day now. I have not cleaned the house is a mess. I have not done any exercise. And yeah, I'm about to write later, as I usually do. But my point is, what is going on here? Am I going to have to like reverse psychologize my own brain to make it do what I want? Who knows? Who knows? But anyway, what I have been doing today, in between other things, is I've been trying to figure out my magic system, how magic works in the universe of this book, and also some of my creatures, because I am creating some new creatures for this story. Now, they're not like wildly original creatures. They will be very reminiscent of other things that you've seen, but they are not directly taken from anywhere. You know, they're not directly dragons or that sort of thing. At least the animals are not. Some of my intelligent races are exactly the same as you would see in other fantasy. So yeah, I've been trying to work out the magic and the creatures and just kind of world building in those sort of areas. So I thought I would tell you a little bit about what I've got so far. So first of all, how does magic work in my world? Roughly. I mean, these are the basics. This is very much a work in progress. I have to make that disclaimer. All of it may change. But so far, magic in my world is connected to chaos. So the paradox is that the more highly organized you are as a species and the more intelligent you are as a species, the less intrinsic magic you are likely to have. So all of the humanoid races that exist in the world that my characters are currently living in, things like dwarves and just normal humans and fauns, all of those pretty much don't have any intrinsic magic themselves. And by the way, they all just call themselves humans. They're different types of human. They don't consider themselves, I mean, they're different races, but they're not different species, which makes sense because they can intermarry and have fertile babies with each other. So in scientific terms, that's not a different species. So different races, but they all think of themselves as essentially human. They can still source magic from other places, like more magical than them creatures or sometimes objects. So magic is a kind of resource in this world, but also with time, the more creatures in terms of numbers live in the world and the more, as I said, highly organized they are and the more rules they are in their communities and in the world in general, the less magic there is. However, this story also has kind of portals and different dimensions, and I know some people hate those, but there you go, this story has them. So there are certain little places, they are not entire different worlds, they are these little pocket dimensions that used to be part of the same world, but something happened to cause them to sort of splinter off and create these unique environments that sometimes preserve older versions of the world. So some of these pocket dimensions hold a lot more magic because they are no longer directly connected to the current world, which is really depleting in magic. So they are these little environments, little systems that function in a completely different way. And they function in the way that the world used to be a certain period of time ago. So one of these little pocket dimensions is a valley where a lot of this story takes place. I know I keep mentioning the magical dinosaurs, and they're not exactly dinosaurs, but they're kind of dinosaur-based creatures. So they live in this valley, which has sort of preserved this environment where they can still exist. And because it's kind of separated from the current world, it can still function because it has preserved most of its magic, and these creatures do need a certain amount of magic to exist and to function. And there are also some older dimensions that have even more magic, and they're mostly filled with, they pretty much don't have any like creatures or animals in the way that we would think of them. They are mostly places where only kind of spirits and demons and creatures of energy exist, and those are very, very magical. So all of that is going on. And so concerning this valley or similar places, some of my characters are under the impression that those places are just frozen in time. They don't really change. They're kind of stuck in a loop. Whereas others have this theory that they can actually change and evolve. And one of the arguments that they have for that is this creature, or these creatures, which are called Fablefang's, that they have found in this valley, but there is no evidence anywhere in their present world that this creature ever existed. So the idea is that if that valley is frozen in time and it's just kind of going the same way it always has, and because that is technically the world of the past, somewhere in the current world there should be some evidence that this creature existed, but there isn't. It's a completely new creature. Nobody's seen it anywhere else, and it looks a little bit like a missing link. So the theory is that Fablefangs are actually something that evolved within the valley. So that place is kind of just developing its own parallel kind of line of evolution. And then apart from Fablefangs, I've been trying to come up with all of these other creatures because I need to fill an entire valley with them. And the thing is, you can't come up with anything that's too original because pretty much everything has been done. I don't know if anyone can come up with an animal or a magical race or whatever that doesn't look or sound like something that already exists. So that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to make them slightly original, but also I want them to be grounded. So I want them to be similar to recognizable things so that it's easy enough for the reader to imagine them. But either way, it's not an easy task. I'm one of those people who really love world building, but also not too much of it. You know what I mean? I want to have a solid world that feels real and there are details, but I could never be Tolkien. You know, I'm not gonna sit down and write entire languages or, you know, create these massive histories, because I mean that's absolutely amazing if you can do that, but I got a story to write, y'all, and I got characters that I'm interested in, and I can't spend that much time drawing maps and developing those really tiny, minute details. So I'm kind of trying to find that golden middle ground where it's a three-dimensional world and you want to go into it and you want to live into it and you feel like there's more to discover. I haven't told you everything, and there will be. I'm sure I will come up with a bunch of things that won't end up in the actual novel, but my focus is still the characters and the story and not all of the details. So I guess my questions for you today are: how good are you at world building? Do you love doing it? Do you find it difficult? Have you ever tried to come up with your own creatures and build your own magic system? And is that something that's important to you in books? Do you really want to have all of your questions about how things work answered and all of the details present and worked out by the author? Or are you more interested in other things and the magic is just, it's magic, it doesn't matter, let's just roll with it and have fun? Or maybe you're like me, maybe you're somewhere in the middle where you don't like it when things don't make sense. You want to know what the rules are, but you don't necessarily want to know every single thing about that world. What kind of person are you? What kind of reader are you? What kind of writer are you? What am I talking about? It doesn't matter. Okay, so it's time for me to get back to my actual story and potentially try to do some cleaning. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but as per usual, I will update you tomorrow on my progress today. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!